left Amazon back in May after 5 years as an engineer, saying you were dismayed at how the company was treating whistleblowers, folks who were raising alarm about warehouse working conditions. 6 months later, how do you reflect on that decision? Was it the right call?
Well, I'm sad about it because it was a great job and I was making a lot of money. But I think it was the right call. I think that Amazon is by and large a well-run company, and let's hope that this episode where they fired whistleblowers and activists was an aberration. But at the time, it seemed just too much to me.
So what was your main complaint?
Well, there was an argument that broke out in the context of COVID about, whether we were taking good enough care of the people in our warehouses. And, they were doing a lot of work. Amazon was certainly doing a lot of work to try and, make the warehouses safer. But nonetheless, the workers were speaking up, and some internal activists were speaking up on behalf of the workers, saying they were afraid. And, I believe both sides. And then Amazon intervened and fired all the people who were speaking up. The whistleblowers and the warehouse activists and so on. And I just could, I was at a VP rank, and that means you need to be on board with the company, and I just couldn't be. So I said goodbye.
Now, Amazon has released a number of statements to explain their side of this story as the worker agitation has played out. One of the later ones, our employees choose to work at Amazon because we offer some of the best jobs available everywhere we hire, and we encourage anyone to compare our overall pay, benefits, and workplace environment to any other company with similar jobs. How do you respond to that?
Well, I agree. I don't think Amazon is the worst place to work at all. And I'm not saying really that, our problem in society is an Amazon problem. I think our problem is Amazon's a symptom of our problem, which is the really unacceptable level of inequity in wealth and power between the ordinary people who work and the people who run the show. I think the level of inequality, just measure the numbers, has been getting worse and worse progressively for decades. And if we don't like the way that, outfits like Amazon, and as I said, they're not the worst, are behaving, the thing to do is to change the balance in society using boring, old-fashioned politics.
It's exacerbated by the fact that Amazon is run by Jeff Bezos, who happens to be the richest man in the world. What are some concrete things that you would like to see Jeff Bezos do differently?
Well, it's easy to sneer at Jeff and cast him as a supervillain, particularly, with his new look. But I don't see it that way. I think the problem isn't any individual person. We don't need to be telling Jeff to play nice. What we need to be doing is changing regulatory frameworks around labor and tax structures and compensation structures and so on, so that the powerlessness that we see in the warehouses doesn't go on. I mean, Amazon is optimized for efficiency, and how can that be a bad thing? They offer a wide selection, low prices, fast delivery. We all love that. But, there's no free lunch. Somebody's paying the price. And the people who are paying the price are the ones who are powerless. And if we don't like the way that's shaking out, we need to rebalance the power equation, not yell at Jeff. We need to do it with legislation and regulation, good old-fashioned grassroots politics.
Now, you have some unique ideas about how to do this. For example, splitting up cloud and retail. You worked at AWS. Why would that make things better?
Well, I think that, this is not really a controversial position. Is the free market, which is where wealth is generated, works better when you have competition. And to the degree that market becomes monopolized, things just work less well. And I think there are many sectors of our economy where we are excessively monopolized, internet, beer, mattresses, lots of things. And high tech is particularly prone to this. And I think if you look at the top 5 players, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, and you look at the broad range of services they offer and products, I think it would be much better if that were 20, 30, 40, 50 companies competing with each other on a more or less level playing field and being more sanely sized. So yeah, I'm in favor of breaking up Amazon. And in particular, I'm in favor of spinning off AWS. That's a no-brainer. But I would actually go after the whole high-tech sector. I think it's absurdly monopolized.
Oh, okay, so what of those companies that you mentioned should also be broken up?
Well, you know what? I'd start with Facebook and Google because they have monopolized the advertising market, and they have destroyed the business model of a huge number of very high value, high quality publications, because you can't make any money on the internet with advertising anymore because Google and Facebook are basically taking it all. And That's because they have a monopoly. They buy the ads, they sell the ads, they broker the ads. As Elizabeth Warren said, we have rules against insider trading for a good reason. And the whole advertising market is wildly dysfunctional. So I think, the greatest benefit to society would come from breaking up that particular duopoly. But yeah, I mean, it's not that hard. If you look at each of these businesses, you'll find things that are only loosely related. I mean, Amazon is a retail store and a cloud computing company and a smart speaker company and a voice recognition company. And, I don't see those as having that much to do with each other. You can just make the same story about Google, about Microsoft, about Facebook. And I think that it's time for, a real stiffening of the antitrust muscles in the nation's leadership.
So what are you up to now and next?
Oh, well, I'm advising a couple of people. I'm writing a book, or trying to anyhow. I'm trying to create an urban marine park in the heart of Vancouver. I'm enjoying life. I enjoyed my job, but I'm enjoying what came after the job as well.
So what is your advice to other employees who might be at big companies, unhappy with what they see, but want to speak up? It's really hard to find the courage to do that, especially when you can't afford to leave.
Well, that's right. And, in particular in the United States, where your healthcare is tied to your employment and so on, I think that we're starting to see a certain amount of activism creep into employee culture. It seems like there's not a week goes by where there isn't some, news story about some unhappy employee striking out or being fired or something. And I think that if you look at the population of knowledge workers and engineering workers who make technology go, they tend to be, quite a progressive bunch. And if they were to start banding together and flexing their political muscles, I think it could have a real effect in moving the needle on a bunch of societal issues. And I'd like to see that happen.